First order of business is the adoption of the agenda. Are there any additions or corrections?
Move to approve as presented. Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the agenda as presented. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Minutes of the previous meeting.
Move to approve as presented. Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the minutes as presented. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Anne Marie, you welcome.
Welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Thank you for letting me come. I'll try to keep it pretty brief. I wanted to come from the city of Marshall just to talk briefly about the transportation sales tax that will be on the April 7th ballot. I asked this at all the presentations I've been doing on this, but how many of you are aware that there will be a transportation sales tax on the ballot? Okay. So just a little brief information. It's anticipated that this half-cent sales tax is going to produce about $1 million in revenue per year. We, over the last 3 years, our Municipal Services Committee really recognized the need for more street maintenance than we'd been doing in the past. So they used some ARPA funds and some reserves from the sale of our sanitation department and just some reserves from deferred maintenance over COVID. We were able to finish some projects, and they were able to put about $750,000 to $850,000 per year for the last 3 years towards street maintenance. Those funds are now exhausted, and that is why they decided to go to the voters with a half-cent sales tax to keep that program up. Prior to that, I think the city was generally able to put about $300,000 a year towards street maintenance, and that just doesn't go very far. And every year it goes a little less far. So the main idea here is, as you guys know, at MMU, maintenance is always cheaper than completely redoing things. So we want to keep up what we have, be good property owners, if you will, and ensure that we don't have to, down the road, reconstruct or do major renovations on streets. That's how we're looking at it. So a half cent, and I'm going to focus on something that Jeff mentioned yesterday. I gave this spiel at MSDC, and he was there, and he gave me some feedback, which is that to focus on the fact it's a sales tax, not a property tax. So sales tax means that people coming into our town, buying retail items, coming to Walmart, coming to Marshall, some of the other stores that are getting ready to open, they're sharing in this tax. And I think that's something citizens really do like. It's not just us, it's not just Marshallites that are paying for our streets then. It is also those people that are coming in and traveling these streets to access our businesses. So that was a good tip. Thank you for that, Jeff. Another main thing to know about this tax, and the Municipal Services Committee, again, was really thoughtful in the way they wanted to put this on the ballot, is that it has guardrails and that it's a 3-year tax. So it has a sunset, and if it were to pass now, it would sunset in 2029, and then it would have to be reapproved by the voters. So the way that we're kind of looking at it at the city is, let us show our work. Let us show you what we can do with this kind of funding over the next 3 years. Let us be transparent. Let us gain the voters' trust that this is going to exactly what we say it's going to, which again, it has to. It's also the kind of tax it is, the transportation sales tax. It can only go to the repair and maintenance and upkeep of streets and sidewalks. That's in the ballot language. If you look on the pamphlet or the one pager that Tony put in your booklets, it has the exact ballot language, so you'll be able to see that. And we also plan to, if it were to pass, do a state of the streets address each year to show taxpayers exactly what came in and what it was used for. And if you look on the back of these, there's a QR code, or at the bottom of that one pager, and that'll take you to our website dedicated just to this. There's a page on there. It's got some more in detail facts, and it also has spreadsheets at the very bottom. It's the document library. It has 3 years worth of spreadsheets from the previous 3 years, so 2023 through 2025, on what we put toward our street maintenance program down to the actual like square footage that we did. It has all of the sections of streets that the city was able to do over the last 3 years. And then there's also the future plan if this tax were to pass for the next 3 years. So our municipal services director, Randy Cornine, and assistant director, Jill, were able to put together a plan for exactly what this would be used for. Now, as you guys know, things can change, but we wanted to put out, this is our best laid plans, and a couple of the streets on there, if there's some sort of major catastrophe, might have to be swapped out or something. But we wanted to show people, what the plan would be if this were to pass. So I will keep it brief, like I said. If you have any questions, I'm happy to try to answer them.
I do have one question.
Yeah.
Does it fund any new sidewalks? Or is it
It
just?
could. It can.
It could.
Yes. So like I said, Randy and Jill put together a 3-year street plan, and they left about $300,000, not per year, but with a little wiggle room there, a couple $100,000 per year unallocated. We do have some plans to finish some some sidewalk projects that we've started, like the Vest Street corridor is what we would call it. It would be providing access all the way down at Vest Street. There's some sections that don't have sidewalk, and there's some sections where the sidewalk's just really bad. But to allow walkability to the schools, because they go through there. But sidewalks is something that we want to prioritize, but we didn't want to make a full plan for that because new sidewalks will require easements in some cases. And so we can't, at this point, make a projected plan, but it's in the works, yes.
At one time, there was a plan to continue, that was when they were doing College Street, to continue on to Lincoln Street to get over to Yerby so you could walk. There's a lot of college traffic and others on Lincoln Street that are out in the street.
Yeah.
So I didn't know if that was part of it.
I'm not sure if that specific is part of the
Okay.
plan, but it could be. And especially, I think the first 3 years we've talked about prioritizing, continuing existing sidewalk corridors, if you will. So there's patches. If you walk around town, I walk around town a lot because I have a dog. And there's patches where you'll be going down and then there's just nothing. Or it's very, very bumpy and not safe. But yeah, there's a lot of walkers, especially school age kids. And just in general, I don't know, I've noticed more pedestrian traffic over the last several years. Maybe it's just because I got my dog, but definitely noticed more walkers. So yeah.
Thank you.
Yes. Any other questions?
Just a comment, may be worth pointing out that our underground department and the street department work together
Yes.
a lot, and I think they've got a 10-year plan of ours, right? So for
Yes.
anybody that thinks that we're not communicating with the city when we're doing our water main, that's just incorrect.
Yes, that is incorrect. And if you look at the former 3-year plan, but definitely the projected 3-year plan if the tax were to pass, you look at those spreadsheets, some of the portions of street have this little blue square and it says MMU 5-year plan. And so those are portions that Randy and Jill have identified need work, either slurry seal or cold mill and overlay, but that we will not do that work until that, I think it's water main mostly, but until that stuff is done, because we don't want to pay something and then you guys have to. But yeah, that's a question I get pretty much at all these presentations. And yes, we do coordinate and we've factored that in. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think this is a good opportunity to mention, not only do we share that with municipal services, we do have a projects page on our website where we're sharing that with our customers as well, so they know where those locations are for the next probably 5 years is what's on the webpage now. But,
Yeah.
We've got a pretty extensive plan there, and we want to share it with everybody. And of course, the city and the streets is the most important, but we do also make that information available for our customers.
Yeah.
So, anybody is wondering, please check out our website and look at the projects page.
Yes, it's just getting people to there. It's the hard part
Yeah. I
with
think
all
we've
of
got
our
some
stuff.
Facebook. Our webpage is fairly new. The project section is fairly new. We've got some outreach with Facebook and some other things to kind of promote that
Yeah.
and make our customers.
Your website looks really great, by the way.
Thank you.
Yes, I have looked at your project page.
All right,
Yes.
thank you. We're busy.
Yes. Well, thank you guys. And I also just wanted to add, I wanted to thank many of you, but especially Grant and Doug have been really great throughout our sort of transitionary inspection department stuff. You guys have been great resources and very helpful. Even when I don't know what I'm talking about, you always tell me the answer in a very nice way. So I just want to say I really appreciate that. And I really appreciate Steve. He's stepped up and he's doing electric inspections for local repairs, and that's been amazing. I've only gotten excellent feedback on that, so we're so appreciative to all of you and to MMU in general as well. And thank you to Jeff and Tony as well. And Tony allowed us to put a one-pager for our tax stuff in this month's utility bills, so that was awesome too. So thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Some donuts over there if you're hungry. Need somebody to eat the dang donuts. I'll take them back.
Well, we'll move on. Property report. Like to get a little green line.
Yep, the customer was there watching, he said it wasn't in the way.
We showed him.
Plastic tile.
Yeah.
Well, those are easy to hit. Moving on, I guess we'll move into reports. Doug, looks like you're up first.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
I do have an action item today for you. It's a budget item to replace windows and doors in the electric distribution and underground facilities buildings. We did send out 30 bid requests. We received 2, which were open on March 3rd. I spent a few days trying to dig through each of those, trying to find out the differences, basically one extreme to the other, which you can see. The differences in the two with the low bid, they basically bid aluminum clad like the existing windows we had. They're a single home. The more expensive one bid vinyl clad windows, double home windows. They were both pretty similar on warranties. Big deal difference was in the U factor, so that's how you rate the window insulation, how well it's insulated. That's a range from 0.2 to 1.2, lower being better. The higher bid was a 0.27, which is pretty good. Anything below a 0.3 for colder climates is pretty good. The low bid had actually bid a 1.3, which is even off the scale for being poor. So they're both, everything's pre-finished on the doors. So with that, I talked to Jeff and Grant, and we feel like we hate to purchase something that's not any better than what we already have. And I know I made a recommendation, but after digging into that some more and coming to this conclusion, I would like to rescind that recommendation and recommend a motion to reject all bids and rebid. And moving forward, I'd like to write set specifications, so everybody can bid on the same thing, and reach out to more vendors to see if we can get more participation and get more bids instead of just 2. So that would be my plan moving forward.
I was going to ask that, was that if there was a spec for the efficiency, because that was kind of the reasoning that we were going to do this, was because of better, more efficient windows and doors. So I would agree with your course of action.
Yeah, we just issued a request for proposals, so we didn't really specify, and after some discussion, I think we're gonna put out some standards that they need to meet, and should make it easier for Doug to evaluate them, because when you see that price difference, it's not apples to apples.
So I would make a motion to reject the recommendation and to rebid the project.
So, motion has been made and seconded to reject the bids and rebid at a future point in time. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you, gentlemen. Not much else to add. Fort Boyd Tree Services finished up their tree trimming. They'll come back in the summertime to spray, transmission distribution right away. Mid-America testing was on site, testing trucks. We did have one bigger derrick that needed a pole guide repaired. Some of the flex jumper and some line hose also failed, so got those removed from service. But other than that, only thing else to add, unless you have any questions for me.
Back to the maintenance, even with more efficient windows, I mean, that's not $54,000 difference. So
No.
I wouldn't, it shouldn't, still shouldn't come in at 90
Yeah,
grand.
that's why I'd like to get more participation.
Okay.
Seek out other vendors, make some phone calls and try to.
Yeah, I think those, when Doug got to check, were double hung. We don't need double hung windows on the floor level, so I think Septagon, if they bid double hung, would add 12,000 to their bid, so, he dug into it quite a bit, and I think we'll get a better outcome.
Are they
moving forward.
double pane,
They're double pane.
and then there's a called low E
Correct.
and gas fill?
Yes.
So,
There's more to it.
yeah.
Does School Board not pick up the big logs? Is that what?
They don't, we do that for them
Okay.
to try to save time. You know,
Sure.
we'd send our crews out, dump truck and backhoes, line trucks, whatever we need to pick up the bigger logs. They don't have a way to handle it. We just send keep those guys trimming trees.
Right. Okay.
More efficient that way. And that's all up to the customer. Sometimes they want firewood, sometimes they don't. So if you see some laying in the yard, sometimes that's because the homeowner wants the wood and just have to pick it up. We did get all the trees down, the old power plant lot.
Thank you. Anything else for Doug? Thank you, Doug. Grant, good morning.
Morning, gentlemen. Just one little update. They did do the inspection on Reservoir 2. I have reached out a couple times to try to get a timeline on when that inspection will be back. I haven't heard anything back yet. But I will update the board as soon as I hear something. Other than that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
They do that remotely, drop a,
They had a little drone, about as big as a basketball.
Okay.
And then they, of course, they did the outside visually, but, and they were in and out of that thing in probably 45 minutes. I could really run that thing.
and then one other question, the master plan, is that, are we gonna see that at the
So-
end of this month?
We're expecting it late this month, early April. We did answer a few more questions in that meeting. We ironed some of the miscommunication out, and I think it's really, really close now. As well as a risk and resilience and emergency response, there was just a few loose ends to tie up there, and I think I got all but a couple things sent back on that. So I would assume that we would get all that pretty close to the same time.
Any other questions for Grant? Thank you, Grant. Jared, good morning.
Morning. We did receive our January capacity credits, which was the first month of the new increased capacity credits. The total for those, this was $108,828.30. In December of 25, our capacity credits were 44,362, so pretty significant increase. Those numbers right now are based on winter peaks. So summer peaks, I think, go into effect in June, and that should increase that a little bit. Also, it is based on performance. And Unit 6, with some of the issues we've had over the last few years, has kind of got it down a little bit. So hoping to get this new voltage regulator in and bring that number up a little bit too. So, that's pretty much all I got, unless you got any questions.
Questions for Jared? Thank you, Jared. Jim, good morning.
Morning. It did dry out enough the first part of this week. We got some services buried, but this last round will slow it back down again. But other than that, not much to report. Just business as usual.
Water machines still running well?
Which machine?
All of them?
Oh, yeah, I think everything's running pretty well. We do have a bid opening, I think the 17th for the replacement of that truck that motor died, so that'll be coming up here before long, but all the big machines are running good.
Anything else for Jim? Thank you, Jim. Eric, good morning.
Morning. We'll be doing some training on the equipment at the Junction Wastewater Plant next Monday and Tuesday. Plan to try to get as many of staff out there to go through that training. Other than that, I don't have anything else to add to the packet unless you have any questions.
You see anything coming up that's going to cause us a problem with that?
No, I do see we may have to spend a little more time out there with the bar screen and the chlorination that they have out there than what we originally thought. I've kind of discussed it with Jeff. But other than that, no, I don't see any.
Yeah, we were gonna make a trip down there this morning.
Yeah,
We got rained out.
yeah, we were gonna go look at.
Yeah, and the chlorination, I think will probably yet to be seen when they get it operational, but the facility we went and looked at, basically the chlorination is just like UV. It's for, at the outflow, for E. coli. But it's a similar system we looked at didn't even require UV, so I think I'm hopeful that that's something they put in that doesn't need to be used, so, but it'll be one of those things where time will tell.
Still feel comfortable with the staff we have, being able to do.
Yeah, I think we should be able to manage it. I mean, I think it'll be still manageable.
Getting a little bit worried about pulling somebody away from our plant to go handle something else with that.
Hopefully we
That's
get-
one of my concerns.
Hopefully we get fiber down there, they can keep an eye on it, and, there'll be a little bit of learning curve, but based on, and I don't here to see the system we looked at, pretty much runs itself. I mean, I think like he mentioned, it's got a manual bar, so.
Yeah, that was the only change I saw from what we looked at.
That might require daily or twice daily visits, just to make sure that's clear. But MMU will be reimbursed for all that. Anytime we go down there, we've got a 2-hour minimum, so we're comfortable, we're covering all of our costs. Certainly don't mind helping out, but, we've had some pretty good discussions on moving forward. And, you're keeping me updated on how things look and whether it's going to work out or not. Just going to have to see. I don't think it'll be a whole lot, hopefully.
Anything else for Eric? Thank you, Eric. Travis, good morning.
Morning. Just an update on the well maintenance and treatment project. They did do the air shock method on well 4. It did help with the production of it some. They also followed that with another chemical treatment and everything. So they got it all back, and we're setting about 450 gallons a minute, which is a lot better than it was before all this took place. Before the production fell off that well, it was set at 500, and we still had plenty of pumping water level in the well and all that. So they tried. I think the max they could get out of it was 475 gallons a minute, but they set it at 475, and then the 450. That way we have at least 10 foot of water over the pump. So that's what's at right now. I'm still waiting on to get the final report. They said what it's looking like, we may end up having to add a couple sections of pipe and lower the pump, lower in the well, because we do have room for that. That way we'll have plenty of water and won't have that issue. But I don't know what they're going to recommend on that yet. But at least we're back up in operation on it, so it's still 50 gallons less, but at least it's in operation. They did pull well 8 for the normal inspection and rebuild of the pump. They did find 5 sections of pipe that would need to be replaced, which that's kind of a normal thing that we usually have every year. Well, so I think all that's been ordered and just waiting for all that to show up and then they'll finish the project up. But other than that, be happy to answer any other questions.
So to lower the pump, we can get back up to 500.
Should be able to, yes.
That's what-
Yeah, I would like to have at least 500, if not more.
How old is that well, Travis?
It's at least in the 50s, I think, 50s or 60s when it was drilled. I think it's been relined once before, several years back, and everything, so it's been pretty decent. This first time we've ever had any issues with them. But yeah, when he first gave me the news, I was not very happy. It's like, oh my God, what are we gonna have to do? And then when he suggested that they may be able to just add a couple sections of pipe and drop the pump, yeah, that's gonna be several $1,000s, but that's a lot better than a new well at least $500,000, so.
So we talked about it the last meeting. What do you want to see out there? What was it, 750 or something?
Usually that one was always set at 500. But I know it was capable of doing more than that, but I can't remember what the max we could get out of it at the time right now. I'd have to look back at it. But I know we had everything throttled back to 500. That way, the combination of wells that we use gives us the right flow.
They're gonna write something up on it.
Yes. Yeah, I'll get a report and everything from them.
It's like
52.
Yeah, and I think this is an important example of the low bid is not always the best bid. Travis and I have talked, and the company we used 2 years ago that did the work on this well left it open. If I'm stating that correctly?
Correct.
Which caused the problems we're having. So, it's just, when you get people in and they're not doing things properly, unfortunately, we had that case. It was a company I think we've used before, but people have trouble getting help, good help these days. And that affects the thing, and I think that's exactly why Travis went with a higher bid this year. Because we knew, like I say, the low bid's not always the best bid. Sometimes you learn that the hard way, but I think he's got this heading in the right direction. And I really think, like Chuck mentioned, the well was built or installed in 1952. For us to still be able to get the water we need out of those wells is really a result of the maintenance program Travis and his staff have up there for the wells. But the wells are in good hands.
and you do another 10-foot deep. Is that what we're saying?
Yeah, 10 or if it's 2 sections, it'd be about 20 foot. And I can reach out to them and everything, see if they can give me kind of a ballpark and everything, and see if that's what they really recommend us to do. I can let you guys know when I find out.
Anything else for Travis? Thank you. Thank you, Travis. Bill Higgins?
I'm just gonna point out one thing. I just wanna remind the board, the 20-year dinner is scheduled, then it'll be scheduled for April 28th, and that will be out at Jackson's. So, please put that on your calendar. Certainly enjoy having, the board present for that. I'll try to answer any questions you may have at the session.
Just a comment, since she specifically mentions it here, but then in everybody else's section, talk about the level of training and everything that we put our guys through, people through. I just want to commend everybody for that, because that keeps you sharp. It's similar to a maintenance program, just keep everybody on the edge. But good work.
Thank you.
I guess just one other thing worth mentioning is seasonal help. We're going to start looking for seasonal help.
Yeah, thank you, Chuck, for bringing that up. She typically puts those numbers in here. It does need approval, but unless the board would like to make any changes to what she has in here, that's typically, seasonal help's good.
So spread the word, that's all.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, no other questions? Tony, good morning.
Morning. Just to kind of hit some of the things there I have, the board, I did send out a copy of the audit with you guys with your board packets. I don't feel like I need to go into too much detail with it, but it overall went fairly well. Some highlights that I would kind of discuss is that we did receive 4.9 million grant money last year, which is a good thing. And then you'll notice, you don't see it in every audit year, but this year there was a prior period adjustment of 463,000. What that relates to is an adjustment I made back in January 25. We had the USDA auditors in here reviewing, auditing the grant one. And the way we had that set up is that we had certain areas that we were tracking all the costs. Well, we were tracking wages, but wages was getting toward salaries. And USDA wants those numbers to be included in the total project. So the prior period adjustments were really me taking the wages for those projects and taking them off the income statement, putting them on the balance sheet side. So instead of taking all the expense in the year it was performed, now we're going to take that expense a little bit every year for the next 20 years, if that makes sense. So those were adjustments I made and approved with the auditors, with USDA and our auditors. So something else we did submit our fourth reimbursement for USDA for $826,000. I did have a call with USDA last week, kind of talking about, me and Jim have been kind of talking and reviewing the projects we've had. Right now, we're coming in about 30,000 under budget on each area. Some areas is more, some areas is less, but on average, so if we continue that trend, we could be about $1 million under budget with the grant. So I reached out with USDA to see what we could do. I did mention about using some of that money, grant funding, for Jim's building, for the shop area. Problem with that is that we would have to do annual reporting for as long as the building's there. So that really didn't seem like a very viable option. But something that they're checking with, and I have a call next week, is that we could use the remaining match. I think we have about 1.6 million in match left. We could use that towards the building, but they're double checking on that. So trying to get ideas on to be able to utilize the whole grant fund. So we don't want to leave it on the table. So I'm running through some ideas and running those through our GFR in DC. And then I give you guys a copy of Anne Marie reached out, wanted those to go into the inserts for the bills, talking about the transportation.
Yes, one page copy.
And that's all I have, unless you guys have questions.
I didn't totally understand, Tony. They it looked like they cited something about not within 9 months not having it submitted.
Correct. Yeah.
If fiscal year's the end of September, so 9 months, we're not there yet. So
If you guys remember, we signed the engagement letter for the audit, and then if we go over 750,000 in grant money, we have to do what they call a single audit, like a yellow book audit. That has to be submitted to the clearinghouse in June of the following year. So last year's, he's talking about the 24 audit. So we went over, and it didn't get submitted until July of 24, when it should have been submitted in June of 24. So they just put a note in there to highlight that, hey, we missed it, and it was really kind of, I didn't know we had to have it submitted by June, but we didn't even get the audit back until July anyways. So they put a note in there to let me know that, hey, no matter what the timeline is, we've got to have something submitted by June if we go over the $750,000 100,000 in grant funding. I know it's confusing.
Right.
If we don't, then it's not a big deal, but if we do, then, which we probably will for the next couple of years. So, we put that note in there to let everybody know that we will submit.
Take an action.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
really
thanks for
happy
bringing
we
it up.
have Tony to keep track of all this.
Okay.
It's a federal grant, and those are probably about as difficult as they come. So he's doing a really good job.
How the hell were you supposed to know? I mean, that's.
That was time about all you did. I know now though, so.
Yeah.
And then, this stuff here was just for tonight's minutes. I just wanted to get that statement.
Anything else for Tony? Thank you, Tony. Jeff, good morning.
Morning, gentlemen. Do have one action item this morning. It's an internal pole use agreement between two MMU departments. Doug's group does own and maintain all the poles in our system. I don't think Jim owns any poles. He may have a few here and there, but when you have distribution poles, there's rules that provide pole space to other entities. That would be, we've got agreements with Marshall Cable TV, with AT&T. We can't treat ourselves different than we treat other people. So this has been on our radar for a while, and finally got a little bit of time to get it done. This has been reviewed by Terry Jarrett with MPUA. Elizabeth looked at it as well, and you can see the net cost there is going to be about $300 annually to IT and broadband. Jim also provides services to the electric department that he's billing for. That will leave that net at $300. So if Doug needs more SCADA, IT, fiber, then that number will go down. But this is just one of those situations we can't, just because we're two departments in one utility, we can't show favoritism over anybody else when it comes to providing pole space.
Get AT&T's done.
Working on it. This will help with that. Yeah.
Motion to approve the pole use agreement between MMU Electric Distribution and IT and Broadband Departments.
Second.
The motion has been made and seconded to approve full use agreement between MMU Electric Distribution and the IT and Broadband Departments. No other questions? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, gentlemen. Moving on, this next one's going to be a pretty big one. It's, we've always been able to operate our 161 kV transmission line outside of the bulk electric system, which is significant when it comes to reporting. When you become part of the bulk system, you fall under NERC compliance, and NERC is a federal organization, and compliance can be a thing. So I've included, we've had some meetings and conversations. We're just really kind of at the beginning process of this, but I'm including staff that could be affected. Jared's been involved, Doug's been involved. There's a possibility it can affect our dispatchers. Will they need to become NERC compliant? There's cybersecurity issues. There's SCADA concerns. Lots of things we still have to learn. I think when we met with MPUA staff, they did get with a consultant to verify that this would make us NERC compliant. There's two criteria: any single generation unit over 20 megawatts, and any transmission system over 100 kV. And unfortunately, we checked with Marshall Energy Center. We checked both of these boxes. That being said, there's a lot of different ways we can move forward to meet that NERC certification. And that's really what we're working on now. Is trying to figure out. I think we're running a lot of things in parallel. We don't want to run one to the end and go, we really don't like that. Let's look at something else. So we've got a lot going on. We're looking at third party compliance to help with NERC paperwork. I think Steve Stott was telling me City Utilities in Springfield has 3 full-time people just for NERC compliance in their transmission system. So, my belief is we're doing all the stuff that NERC wants to see done, but we're not filling any paper. I mean, I think we take care of our transmission line, and it's probably as good or better than people under NERC compliance, but again, it's a federal organization, and federal paperwork is not always the easiest. So we're looking at maybe having a third party do that. There was some discussion about MPUA currently doesn't have anybody that provides NERC oversight. Potentially doing that in-house down there. They might create something. You know, and then and I'm going to mention it here, you know, there's the possibility that selling the line might be our best option. So we're also going to look at that as well. My goal in this is to get as much information as I can to bring forward to you gentlemen, so we can make a decision. But there's a lot more than one way to skin a cat, and there's a lot of options out there on how we meet this requirement. We just have to figure out which one's best and what's the best route. So we do have a meeting again Friday with the Midwest Reliability Organization, which is the NERC organization that oversees this region. So hopefully learn a little bit more. We also have a call Friday afternoon. There's a community in Kansas that's a little bit bigger than us that does NERC compliance. Not sure how that looks, but we're going to meet and discuss with them and kind of hopefully learn something there on what their experience is. And then I also have a gentleman coming in probably later this month that could potentially, you know, look at buying the line. He's going to actually be here. We'll get with Jared and Doug and kind of see what that looks like. And you know, my big concerns with the NERC compliance are, you know, we've got a homegrown SCADA system. We really like it because we can do whatever we want with it. Will it be NERC compliant? We don't know. I really hate to see that happen. I really don't want to see our dispatchers have to become NERC certified, NERC compliant. That's not a good thing. So there's going to be some challenges there that we want a clear picture of what NERC compliance looks like. Acumen is actually going to go back and provide us a list of things, but this is probably going to fast track pretty quick. MPUA caught this after the project started, and you know, the December 1st is the deadline for the generator to be on, and they need to have you know, all that is figured out by then. The one piece is they did look at their initial look. They had Toth come in and look at the section of transmission line from Miami to Norton. If that was the only piece that we wanted to have NERC certified, when you get NERC certification, you're also allowed to charge a tariff to collect fees for the expenses of the line. We would only be putting our hands in our own pockets because the only source is going to be the Marshall Energy Center. And you still have all the compliance hurdles. If we close our emergency tie and include the rest of the transmission line, that would allow us to collect tariffs from the bulk system and from other people's pockets for line maintenance. So, and the NERC requirements are still the same. So you're really not adding any more burden by adding more line, but you're increasing the chance of having some revenue. So there's a lot of things in the works here, and I'll do my very best to keep you guys informed. But again, my goal is to provide as much information as I can to the board. This is a big decision. It's you know, not going to be easy. I don't want to make a decision and wish we'd done something different later. So I'll really work hard to keep you guys involved, and we may have to have some work sessions, I imagine, once I get more information to discuss some of this. So,
Do we have to be compliant before we start up the 2 new units?
There's been some discussion on that. I think there's probably a little bit of leeway based on how this has kind of come about. Anytime you're dealing with SPP, you have to get in the queue to get things done, and I think the normal queue would not allow for that. course, be NERC compliant. And I believe they're gonna be able to operate without that, but certainly they're gonna do their best to work with SPP to meet whatever needs need to be met by that deadline. So, there has been a study on our line, by a local utility. Trying to find my notes here. But it's already been modeled into SPP in the transmission. So we're kind of ahead of the game in some of those aspects. You know, I think that's been done. The next step would be to, I'm trying to remember the acronym. I'm learning lots of new acronyms. They have a whole new language. Jared and Doug can testify to that. But yeah, there's some NERC compliance. And I think they look at the tariff rate, what including that in the system, what the revenue would look like. So that's kind of already queued up, and that's kind of moving forward. But to answer your question, Chuck, I don't think it's set in stone that we have to meet all the requirements, but I think we have to be moving in that direction for sure. So lots going on. You guys don't have any questions on that? We'll just kind of move down here a little bit. We did have a meeting, services and rates meeting with MOPEP. That's going to be a tough one. Services and rates meets, and then we discuss items to move forward to the full pool for approval. It was the consensus at that meeting. We plan to have another meeting before we take a recommendation to the full pool to not make any reserve capacity available for new loads. Well, and really the focus of that conversation was around data centers and AI. Well, does that mean any industrial load? There's a lot of questions and things that haven't been figured out there yet. I did get a request from Connor, Economic Development Director. You know, he receives requests from Missouri Partnership. They're trying to bring bids to Missouri, and they put these projects out to the economic development arms. And I got a request from him 2 days ago, and it was a 6 megawatt load. I've sent that to Rebecca. I plan to visit with her Friday. She's kind of the market expert when it comes to capacity. Yeah, we've got a lot of things to figure out pretty quick. So,
Those things use quite a bit of water too, don't they, for cooling?
they can. I think the one that I've been talking about or visiting with, the AI, they're air cooled. And I think the big concern is capacity is so scarce, and I think that's why you see our member-owned units receiving more capacity credits. That's the exact reason we're getting more credits for our units. Capacity value is going up. And so I think the big fear is you bring one of these in, and the pool goes out and secures capacity to cover that load. They're here 2 or 3 years back up and leave. We're still holding the bill. We're still stuck with and even if you own that capacity, if you go back out to resell it on the market, you're only going to get half of what you would have otherwise. So you're going to be in the red. So a lot of these discussions are all around capacity and how as a pool and how as members do we move forward adding new load, but at the same time protect our communities and ourselves from a pool perspective. So it's not getting easier. Capacity and energy and those things it's a tough world right now for that kind of stuff. But I've got a meeting with her Friday, and I'll continue to participate in the Services and Rates Committee. I think that's I think I provide good feedback to that group, especially with this AI company that we're kind of dealing with now. So yeah, lots to learn there, and that'll be taken up. I'll be spending quite a bit of time on that probably moving forward here. Kind of back related to the Marshall Energy Center. Grant and I did meet with USDI. We've got some items on our gas line, primarily at the MME regulator station in the Panhandle. When you do a pipe uprate and go to a higher pressure, you have to have traceable, verifiable and complete records. There are some components that were installed originally that don't have those records. It is cheaper to replace them than it is to test them. I've got a meeting at 11 this morning with Mitch with USDI and then Drew at MPUA. Those are all actions being caused by the pipe uprate. So MPUA fit the bill on that, but just that gas pipeline, there's a lot of work going on there. There's a lot of things that need to be done to take that higher pressure. I think we did get our Panhandle invoice for the upgrades at the take point. Tony submitted that to MPUA, and we should receive reimbursement for that pretty quick. So still lots going on there. Gas line is going to be a big thing moving forward. Do want to mention, our projects page. Megan's work on updating that. We'd like more feedback. If you guys want to take a look at that, we feel like that's something. I think it's important we let our customers know what we're doing to make sure their services, the money that we collect from them is being reinvested back into the infrastructure that's needed to provide those services. So I think that's important. That we communicate with them, but certainly take any recommendations from the board if you guys would look at that. We plan to add more as we move forward. It just takes a little bit of time. Some of those projects like water mains, they're always going to stay and we've also got a section where we're moving it to ones, but you've got ongoing things that will probably always be in the project section. You're never going to move water main replacement to complete it because it's never done. So, yeah, if you guys could look at that and provide some feedback, I think that'd be great. Do have quarterly MPUA meetings. First meeting starts at 3 p.m. today, and then most of the morning tomorrow. I will do those remote. Lots going on. Certainly be happy to answer any questions.
Anything else for Jeff? Thank you, Jeff. I guess we'll move on to cash disbursements.
Tony didn't do something. He tries, so every other time he does all right.
MPUA is wiring us the reimbursement for that Panhandle invoice. I think it was the 20th is when we're supposed to get that reimbursement.
We don't pay Panhandle yet,
We know we might to check because it was 10 days.
So it'd be a pretty quick reimbursement then. It'll be less than a month.
Oh, yeah.
They're really good about letting us on those items. So I think this TVC stuff, it was a little over $200,000 to get those items done.
We got another bill from SOA.
Yeah. And our final loan payment to the water department. So that's it. So
Grant and Travis are debt free.
yeah, for now.
Yeah. Yeah, you guys might want to enjoy this.
I was gonna say it won't last long.
No.
You know those little signs that say we've had this many days without an incident? Maybe we can
You've had this many days without a payment.
see if we can get it above 60.
Yeah, I hope so.
I'd make a motion to approve the cash disbursements as presented.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to approve cash disbursements. There's no additional discussion. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next board meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, April 1st. That meet with everybody's schedule. Yep. Okay.
It's not a chance. There's going to be a time in April. It won't be the first meeting, but the second one. My wife hasn't put it down on the calendar yet, so I don't know, 15, I think so.
very like me.
Till she tells me, I don't know where I'm going.
Yeah.
That's online.
I make
Maybe,
plans.
maybe she and Tony ought to get together. Be helpful. If there's no other business, I would,
I get one other bit that we have a work session with the city council at 5 o'clock
Right here.
tonight. Here?
Right here.
Right here.
Good, okay,
Okay.
all right. So I haven't showed up.
I would have too.
Okay.
Yeah, no, we're gonna meet right here. I think it's a little more room here. We'll be packed in that other room,
Okay,
so.
that's
Yeah,
5
you
o'clock.
should have that information. Tony's
Yeah.
kind of prepared for that meeting. I think you did a really good job. But not getting too in depth, but hitting the high points.
Motion to adjourn. Second.
motion been made and seconded to adjourn. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?